everybody, welcome to Virgil's studio, and I am Michael. Just kidding, I am Virgil. Everybody's been saying, hey, where have you been? I've been slowly growing a beard and just watching myself grow that beard. Just kidding. What are we doing today? Well, as the title insinuates, we're going to be going into a beginner lesson with pigments. Boy, there's just so many video tutorials out there, and good ones. There's good ones there. I was thinking about this, and I'm saying, hey, you are no pro at synthesizers. You're pretty good at guitar. I've been a guitar teacher for years, but I've been really getting into synthesis for the past few years. I've owned VST synths for many years, and I ended up picking up this one called Pigments a few years ago. And what I was doing was I was just buying patches all the time, and I wasn't bothered kind of digging in to see how these guys work and everything. And I was really overwhelmed, with it until last year, the beginning of last year, I think around there, I got a program called Syntorial. And boy, did that really help out. That just showed a lot of different basics on there. And I highly recommend that, as there's a lot of YouTubers out there that are going to recommend that. And it's a great, wonderful tutorial program. And you know what? It's free until you start going deeper in the modules. Then you would have to pay them. But it was worth every penny to me. Unfortunately, it just went off sale. It was on sale for half price during Black Friday and everything, which we just had, and now they're back at their regular price. Anyways, we're here with Pigments today, and I want to just go over some basic things. So if you do happen to have this program, you're using some of the patches, some of the libraries, they're fantastic. And I'm going to show you some basics with synthesis, so it doesn't become so scary for you, right? First thing we're going to do is we're going to peek at these tabs here, right? Well, if we were just up at the top, we hit this little button, and we're just going to go through just kind of a little basic workflow thing just to show you what things are happening here. You got this little tab up here. This is telling you, hey, new preset, or you're going to save your preset, whatever you're doing. You can import ones. You can export ones to your friends and family. Send one to your Aunt Vera. She would love that. We got resize window theme. I'm on the classic dark, or you can go to the light one now. And this is Pigments 4, so here we go. The next one is I could actually open my different libraries here, my sound banks that I could hit on here, and it's actually going to show me all these different ones. It's going to, I can organize things by the styles, the types. I could just hit this types thing, and it's going to just go in a alphabetical order of these types, actually reverse, so it's going the other way. But yeah, I'd be able to look through those that way. And this is my volume up here. And then we have this, this is going to show us where we have some other options. We got different settings in here that we can go in with our MIDI and then our tutorials. So they got that. Highly recommend that stuff. Check it out. You know, to get good at this stuff, you will actually have to do something. Instead of just watching a tutorial, you may want to just watch a little bit and then try doing it on your own computer or Mac, whatever you have. Try to do this. So we're going to start out with these tabs here. What are these? The engines. It has engines. What are the engines doing? Well, kids, the engines are going to be producing different tones. We have VCOs, they're called, voltage controlled oscillators. And what is that? Let's go and look at this just so we could get some little basic synthesis stuff. I clicked on this little tab here and I moved from wavetable, because if you go to let's see, how you would want to start things out is obviously go here and you go to new preset, and it's going to default at a wavetable preset right here, and it's going to have this sine wave. That's this guy right here. But you could change it and you could move it up into there if you like, but we're going to go there. We're going to go there in a minute. Let's first go to analog. Okay. Now on the analog, it's going to give us these are the VCOs here, voltage controlled oscillators. And what that is, what is an oscillator? It's something, it's a waveform, right? So you have the sound, and if you speed things up, with a beat. Believe it or not, it starts with a beat. People go, that's bullshit. It's beat shit. It's actually true that everything starts with a beat. And then that beat, the faster you're hitting that beat, the more it's going to turn into a tone. We have a couple different oscillators in here. We have low frequency oscillators. Down at the bottom, you'll see this LFO. And then you're going to see these oscillators. And what's really the difference? Well, the voltage controlled oscillators are going to be going so fast that it turns into a tone. I'm going to give you a little example of this. So if we were on oscillator 1, you can see the volume is up quite a bit here, right? And it's selected as one of these different subcategories here. We have the sine, we got a triangle, we have the sawtooth, reverse sawtooth, and then we have the square. So the most common one is going to be the sawtooth, and it's going to have this sound like this. Ooh, was that loud, kids? I'll bring it down just a little bit. So now that you hear that, that's this oscillator, and you're saying, well, it doesn't sound like a beat going really fast. Well, if you're doing it at 440 cycles per second, that would be the middle A on a keyboard, or it would be the A string on your guitar. Bet you didn't know that, did you? Now, if we were to slow this down, and we're going to slow it with the tuning here. This is called our coarse tuning. This is going by half steps, right? So we're going through steps. So if I were to hold this C note on my keyboard, that's actually the C note. And as I bring this down, you're going to hear it going lower and lower. We're going to have this go gradually low enough where you're just going to hear a beat. It's crazy. Listen to this. And that's it. You hear that? Isn't that insane? And if you get that going so fast, man, it'd be like a drummer, man, just going so fast. 440. Can you imagine a drummer hitting 440 times on that snare to make an A note? It ain't going to happen. There's not a drummer on the planet that can go 440 times on that snare. I don't think so. There's a challenge there. So I'm going to speed that up and bring it up to key, right? Up to pitch. So I'm at a C now. And this is basically what a synthesizer sounds like. And you play that and you go, well, that sounds awful. It sounds awful or awesome to some. What we do is we start modifying these sounds in here, right? And just on this one engine here, we're going to shut this guy off over here, but he's not activated anyways when you go inside there. But you'll see that we have 3 different tabs to do different things. These first 2 tabs are going to give us a selection of analog, wavetable, sample, and harmonic. And you know what? It doesn't hurt to take a program like this and then just start experimenting with it, you know? So if I'm at analog, it's going to obviously do these, it's going to do the different analog waveforms here, right? And I could actually add other waveforms in here. Let's go and do that. We're going to add, let's add this one, and let's make this one go, we're going to go actually 1 octave higher. So we're going to go up 12 semitones, right? So now we're going to hear this one coming in. I'm going to bring this guy down just a little bit, right? Then I'm going to bring this guy in. And now you're going to hear the 2 there, which is kind of cool. We could take this fine tuning and we could just kind of move it just a little bit. And what it's going to do is it's going to give us more like a chorus effect, right? And all we're doing is we're just playing with this bass noise here. There's just this bottom. This is the beginnings of synthesis here. It's so cool. But you start messing with some of these knobs, you're going to hear what these things do. Let's listen to this as I detune this one that's at the octave higher. And it gives almost like a chorus effect if you get it close. Then it starts sounding pretty bad if you go too far out. Although it depends on what you're looking for. So now the next thing is I could bring in this next oscillator, right? And let's bring this in with a different sound here. We're going to use a triangle on here, and let's bring this up. Has a little bassier sound in there. If you were to solo this out, you would just hear this going on. And this is your sine wave, which even gets bassier. Now, I can bring all these up just a little bit here, and we have three different oscillators going, which is off of engine 1, which is kind of cool. But another thing we could do is we could make a bunch of voices here, right? So I'm going to take these voices and I'm going to move this dial up here. I'm not going to go into every single detail of Pigments. I just want to show you some basics, how to try to make just a little bit of a sound to start out with. It's pretty fun, right? So I'm going to change these voices. Listen how this gets thickened up, just widened and everything. Listen. Now with that fine tuning thing, you're going to hear that ends up being not so good. And we're going to bring this D tune down just a little bit. And it sounds pretty cool. From here to there, it's got quite a difference. And that sounds lovely. Our next thing is we start thinking about these controls. What are the controls? Well, there's different things how we can modify these sounds, right? We have our envelopes, we have our filters, and we have our low frequency oscillators. And between the three of those, it's really going to be able to mold this tone. Let's talk about the filter first and what that's going to do. For any of you guitarists out there, it's almost like a wah-wah pedal where that's like a 70s porn, sorry. So anyways, not that I watched that in the 70s. I was just a baby. So watch this. Listen. If I play with this, mess with this filter right here, and listen, I'm going to change the cutoff, and you're going to hear what it does to this sound. This is so cool. The filters end up being almost like the big judgmental filter or the knob on all synthesizers of the past and the future. So when you go to play this, you'll hear this. Sounds kind of cool. And that's kind of cool, right? And is that the only filter we have here? No. If you click here, it's going to show you all the different filters. Check this out. Whoa, look at all these filters, man. My goodness. It's going to take a long time to get through all these, right? Let's go with the SEM filter, right? So I'm going to use this SEM filter, and I'm going to try using this. That sounds lovely. We have our cutoff and we have our resonance, okay? So as we hit this, you're going to hear this changing. Kind of cool. Let's try the MS-20 filter. Now, as I'm turning this, I'm thinking about other things that we could do. There's a way we could make this turn automatically. We're not going to go into that yet, but we get to do that in this program. It's so neat. Like I'm just turning this with my finger right now. And it does sound pretty cool. I can mess around with that knob all day. That's what she said, and the bed broke. Okay, so now let's go into controlling this sound here a little bit more, all right? I'm going to bring this up a little bit more. We're going to go to our envelopes. And these are these tabs down here. We got a keyboard, we've got the envelope, we got the LFO, functions, random, and combinate. So if I go to the envelopes here, this is my envelope VCA. VCA stands for voltage controlled amplifier. And what this is going to do is it's going to really control how we hit this key and what it does when we hit the key. I'm going to show you, for instance, we're going to change each one of these so you could hear what happens, right? So if I hit the attack and bring it down to nothing, you're going to hear a click probably. You can almost hear a click in there. Now, if I get it much longer, you're going to hear it takes a long time to come in. And you can see it moving up before it gets to its full potential there, right? So the decay is when it gets up there, how long is it going to stay when it's up at that maximum volume? And you can see it didn't stay there long before it got down to this next one, which is your sustain. So the sustain, actually, my bad. The other way, it goes the other way. So you can hear that that's changing there. Now, if I get that decay longer, then you can hear that changing. The next thing is our release, right? So we're going to hit this release. Now, when I let go of the key, that's how long it's going to last as I hit that. So as soon as I hit that, listen to this. You can hear it's going on almost forever. That's because I had a really long release. I can make it a little shorter, and you'll hear that. So that's the hands off of there, so you can see kind of what that does. If I was doing like a bass or something, what I would do is probably have a really fast attack, maybe. And then I would just bring that decay down. And bring that sustain. Now my fingers, as soon as if my finger is holding that in, that'll hold that sustain till the cows come home. Now if I bring this decay and then bring the sustain down, now you're going to hear this. And I'm still pressed in on that key, right? So I could even get a longer release and go like, you can see how long it's going to travel to get to that release. So this is how I'm going to control what happens with that note, right? And if I get that shortened up, that's kind of cool what I can do on there, right? If I have a shorter sustain, it's not going to be doing that. Now I'm pressing in. That's pretty short. So that would work for like a bass. Now if you say to yourself, well, that's a little too high for the bass, well, we could go lower on our keyboard. Or another thing we could do is we could bring one of these guys down an entire octave. Or we could add another analog one right up here. So I go to analog, now boom, I got these others. I could bring those into there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this one right here for later. I'm going to come over to this third utility engine, and it has an oscillator at the bottom. And version 4 actually gave you all different ones. I think version 3 just had it where it was a sine wave. So now I've got this guy coming in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shut off that first engine so I can just hear what this one is doing. You can hear that, right? And I'm going to change the filter mix. I'm going to move this to the other filter here. This go to F1 or F2. Now I'm at F2. You can hear that, right? And that's because of how short this guy is, right? And you can hear that pop. That's because the attack is so short. If I get rid of that and make that a little bit longer, it'll make it softer. Do you hear that? Make it shorter, you hear that click. All right, now if I bring in this other synth again, we're going to bring in this other engine here. Now I've got the 2 going. Thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to shut off this utility engine here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try controlling this cutoff. This is how I'm going to shape my tone a little bit. I'm going to use envelope 2 to do this. The envelope for the VCA is going to make the characteristics as to, hey, when are we going to have this attack, delay, sustain, release. We could actually do this to our filter, which is super cool. This is how you're going to really start molding your tone, right? So we're going to take, this is envelope 2, and you'll see it's highlighting. It says assign. And if you click on this and it turns into that, then you go, oh my God, how do I get out of here? Well, there's an X over here. Or if you click this again, it's going to go back to these guys here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and drag this, and I'm going to drop that right onto this cutoff up here. Watch this. So now this is going to be controlled through envelope 2 to this cutoff. I know it might start sounding confusing, but I want you to hear what this actually does. And again, if you're going real slow through this and you're doing this on your own, it's pretty fun. Check it out. And I'm going to adjust this. We're going to bring this down a little bit, and then we're going to bring this guy. So how I adjust how much of this is when I put my mouse over here, you see this little orange dial here. This orange dial is saying how much of that I want to have that effect. And I could even do this, even drag this onto the on the resonation thing, or on the resonate button too, knob. So if I put that and move that up a little bit, now you're going to hear that changing with this sound. You hear it, wing, hear that? Listen. You hear it, wah, like that. Change that to K. Now it's going the other direction here. Kind of neat. Kind of cool. Now, how that was being held down that note, if you notice, you can still hear that because of the sustain in here, right? And if I bring him to nothing, it's not going to sustain at all. So these guys work hand in hand with each other with molding your tone there. Now this just is we're just talking about some basics here of just using this analog. We're using these analog waveforms in here. Use the filter. We use a little bit of envelopes. Two things that we haven't hit up, which is pretty important, would be the LFOs and the FX probably. So if I were to go to the LFOs, I'm going to show you how I can assign those, right? There's all different things that we could do with these LFOs. And what I'm going to do is let's bring in another engine here. We're going to bring in the wavetable that it originally started with so you can see this. And as you click on here, it's actually going to show you different waveforms. If you've purchased any bundles, it's going to show you all those waveforms. Like in mine, it shows a lot of different bundles that I bought through the years. And if I go to Pigments 4, this is going to show you a bunch that are just right out of its own category. So this is all off of Pigments 4, so you should have this. And as soon as I go through these, it's showing you these are the different wavetable forms, and they're kind of cool. So, and how do they work? Well, if we were to shut off this analog engine, and we have the utility engine off, and we're just at this wavetable here. If I hold down note here, you could hear that it's right there, but we have a position thing on here on the wavetable. Watch this. So you could hear that changing through these different sounds, which is interesting, right? And we can scroll through these, get what we like. Right? So that's kind of cool. Now, if I were to go to, let's go to sample here. That's another thing we're going to do in another tutorial. But as soon as I go to wavetable, and let me see here. I don't know what was the default one in here. Let's see. We're going to go, let's go back to, let's go to Pigments 3.5. Sure, let's do one of these. We'll take one from an older one, and let's go through some of these, see what these look like. Kind of interesting, right? Let's go through this one. Next one, I'm just cycling through to get something that sounds kind of cool. This is kind of a cool one. So let's do this one, and what we're going to do is we're going to use a low frequency oscillator to have this thing move. Let's go to the LFO tab right down here, and you can see these different LFOs we have. These are so neat, how you're able to mold the sound with your low frequency oscillator. It's almost like on guitar, if you think about your tremolo setting on your amp, but to the 3rd degree, because this will do this to anything, and it'll just do just crazy cool things. If I were to take LFO 1 and then just drop this on the position here, excuse me, all I got to do is just take this so it has like this huge span of these, maybe not all the way to the end, but maybe like right around here. So it's going back and forth. It's going a little bit too fast for me, so I'm going to slow things down, but check this out. Now that's being controlled by LFO1. Look at this. It's trying to break into the egg, right? Is it going to make it to the placenta? I don't know. I'm sure there's going to be some doctors here correcting me on all that stuff. Man, it's been a long time since I was 13. Okay, so if we go to this rate thing, look. This is LFO1. It's listed here. We clicked on this tab that says LFO1. And this rate thing is going with hertz right now. We're going to change it from hertz to straight only. This is going to bring us to different note durations. So now it's going half note, but I could go whole note or even twice as slow. Which is kind of cool, ain't it? Another thing I could do is I could drop this on a couple other things if I want. Let's throw this on. We're going to throw this. Let's see. This wavetable is going to, let's make him go to, we're going to go to filter 2 with him. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop LFO1 onto the cutoff here. So now it's going to be doing both of those. This is going to be crazy. Ready? Isn't that kind of neat? Now I could bring in this other engine here, and then I can bring in this guy, and now we have all 3 engines going. Kind of neat. Now let's do something really crazy and cool before we go to our effects. I would like to have this envelope. Let's see, how would we do this? Let's make LFO2. We're going to drag and drop this onto filter 1. Do I want that? No, let's cancel that. Let me show you how to cancel that. I clicked on it, and I'm going to hit the off thing. We're going to use, let's use envelope 3 for this one. So I'm going to use envelope 3, and I'm going to drag and drop this onto this guy right here. Now, envelope 3, if I click on that, look at this. This says side chain here. This is so cool. Take your time. Put me on pause to see how to do this, then go and do it. Have some fun. This says side chain. Look at all the things that I could have this do. I'm going to go to my aftertouch. If you have aftertouch on your keyboard, that's going to be super cool. So you want to get that going, right? Now, if I were to go and do this and hold down this note and then see about my aftertouch and see how that's affecting this. And let me see, we're going to get, we have to go to envelope 2 or 3. That was envelope 3 that I did that to. And I'm going to have that go to here. Let's get some sustain. We'll get some decay on there. Get a longer release. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this and adjust this. Now you could hear that going in much more intense, right? So let's bring this to here. You hear that? That's me pressing down harder. Pressing, you like that? And let's throw some FX in here now. So we're going to put in our sound effects. We're going over to here to synth. And we're going to, this is, the default is usually a delay and reverb on here, but there's all sorts of things you could do on there. You could even move this to, I move these guys down all the time, maybe down to here, reverb and delay. And then I could open this up for other things right here. It says none. And I could use this maybe as a compressor on here, right? So I could change that. I'm trying to watch these levels up here so it doesn't get too hot. If that starts hitting the red and staying up there, that could be a problem, right? And that's not too bad. So let's go to this one here. Let's go to add the little bit of a chorus with the Juno 6. Actually, let's put that guy over here. We're going to do the Juno 6 here. And then this guy, we're going to go and let's use a, this one is going to be the multi-band EQ. So now I can EQ this sound a little bit. That's lovely. Check that out. Now we go to the delay. So on the delay, I'm going to bring this up a little bit. Let's see if we could do a, we're going to do a ping pong, sure. Now another thing we could do on here is we go to the time here, and this is at dotted only. I could go to straight only if I want, and then I could change this to whatever I want. These could be quarter notes. They could be eighth notes. Or you go to the dotted only. Yeah, the eighth dotted sounds pretty good. Now we're going to bring up the reverb a little bit. How do we do? That's just kind of like a little intro there. So we're going to call this, let's go. We're going to go save preset as, and then we're going to put the name of the preset. What do you want to call this? How about this? A big fat, no, let's go PHAT. That's old school. Big fat toot. Yeah? Author, Arturia? I don't think so. And we'll just put this guy's name in. Type, that's, I don't know. That's like some kind of pad, maybe. Evolving pad, sure. And then you can use all your different, let's put dark, let's put sad, punchy, complex, mellow, dub reggae, and modern and ethereal. Save. Hey, kids, we got a new patch. Now, if you go in here, and you go to my sound banks, then you go down here and you can see these are all the ones that have their own, you buy them online, but look, that's mine, the Virgil one. Isn't that pretty? Isn't that fun? Did you guys have fun today? I'd love to hear you in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. You got to subscribe too, okay? So we're back at the big fat toot. That is just a, I don't know, man. This is just such a cool little synth I think we put together here. What do you guys think? You guys have a great day and be nice to each other. Please. Come on, be nice. Okay, we'll talk to you later. Bye.